Brock Lesnar's WrestleMania 39 opponent revealed, the Bullet Club wants Sasha Banks to join, and Fightful reports that Roman Reigns won't work both nights of WrestleMania 39. All that and more on today's episode of Casual Wrestling Daily.
What is up, people? It is Monday, December 12th. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Let's start the show by reminding everybody to go to patreon.com/The Casual Wrestling Show and hit the follow button. And if you want to become a member of the Casual Wrestling Channel's Bloodline crew, you can do that by becoming a patron for just $5 a month. Like our current Bloodline members, it's Zenny, Reedus JC, and Ian Noobs Newberry. Before we start, make sure you hit the like button. It takes 2 seconds. Hit that button. Help us get this video into the algorithm. We're doing good. Lots of new followers, lots of new listeners. The show continues to grow, and we want to keep that positive energy moving forward. So take 2 seconds, hit the like button. A little bit of a scheduling update here for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be posting this show around 5:30 p.m. Central United States time. I'm going to test this theory out a little bit. YouTube has been telling me that most people listen to this show about 6 o'clock. So recording this show at noon is a little bit, it feels like a little bit of a rush and a little bit of a struggle. So it would actually probably let the content breathe a little bit and give me just more time to prepare if I start recording it right after lunch and then have it ready to go at about 5:30 p.m. So we're going to try that for the foreseeable future. If anybody has any reason why that doesn't work, let me know in the comments, and I can kind of gauge based on feedback if that works, or if it doesn't work, it'll kind of, it'll be an afternoon show that you can listen to at night, or you can listen to the following day before the next episode airs at 5:30 p.m. So let's talk about some pro wrestling this week. I didn't get to watch SmackDown Live. I came back and watched a later rerun of the show. So it's still a little fresher in my brain right now. And one thing I'm going to start off with saying is I'm noticing trends. I'm starting to see the patterns. The Triple H mentality of wrestling is becoming more and more clear to me, how we are going to be able to establish and understand how Triple H books WWE shows. Because once again, for like the 100th week in a row of Triple H, we start off with the Bloodline. The Usos. We start off with a tag team match. We start off with a tag team championship match. Now, this was supposed to be Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. We find out Drew McIntyre's hurt, and we get Butch and Sheamus. But these matches, these SmackDown opening matches, and it's happening on Monday Night Raw as well, but it's SmackDown is the home of the Bloodline and home of the Usos. These matches are becoming a little bit too predictable for me to start the show. We're opening the show with the Usos on a weekly basis, and we're seeing a lot of tag team championship matches, and we just know the Usos aren't going to lose at this point. Like, I think it's pretty well established. I think we all know, based on these records that WWE keeps touting, that the Usos, they're not going to lose on a random Friday SmackDown. There's going to be a large scale event that takes the belts off of Roman Reigns, that takes the belts off the Usos, and this isn't it. It's not Sheamus and Butch on a random December SmackDown. So these openings to these SmackDowns, while there's a lot of energy, while the crowd wants to see the Bloodline, they're a little bit predictable, and I'm starting to see this Triple H formula. It's like that movie. There was a movie at one time where the guy could see the science formulas in front of him. And I think it was A Beautiful Mind. I'm starting to get a beautiful wrestling mind where I can see Triple H's formula right in front of me. And Triple H's formula is, let's rely on the Usos to open the show because the energy is going to be there. And then we'll just give them a clusterfuck for the rest of the night and hope they go home happy. That's what SmackDown, that's what Raw, that's what wrestling, WWE is starting to feel like to me. We've had way too many television matches in the last couple weeks that are for world titles, world tag team titles, the United States Championship. Like on Raw, almost every week we're defending the Raw Championship because, and don't get it twisted, this is happening because Triple H has nothing more exciting to provide than what he's showing by going, here's a title match, guys. Pay attention. You should be excited because here's a title match. You should be excited. The Usos are going to defend their tag team titles on Monday, and then they're going to defend them on Friday. What are the premium live events for? Why do we have premium live events if we're going to challenge for these belts on a weekly basis and with no story buildup? We're just going to randomly throw guys in. On Monday, we're going to get Riddle and Kevin Owens get a shot, right? And then on Friday, we're going to get the Brawling Brutes get a shot. But it's not really the Brawling Brutes. It's Sheamus and Ridge Holland, which haven't been a tag team. But for some reason, they're a tag team now. What are premium live events for? We have way too much of this going on a daily basis. I will say, one thing I will say that I continue to be impressed with is just how good the Usos are. And it confused, there's a confusion to me because I see so they got the respect of the PWI. They got number one, which I still 100% agree they're the best tag team in the world right now. But every time I say that and every time I post that out into the world of social media, the IWC lose their shit. They can't stand that I call the Usos the greatest tag team in the world. But here's a challenge for the IWC this week. Someone from the IWC provide me video evidence. Cut me a video reel of FTR that explains to me why they're better than the Usos. Because everything y'all talk about that FTR does, I see the Usos do the same and better on a weekly basis. While defending their tag team titles on the biggest wrestling program in the world. It shouldn't matter that you have 7 different indie title belts. What matters is right now on the top of the mountain, in the Super Bowl on a weekly basis, the Usos show up and somebody explain to me, not explain to me. I'm done with explaining. I asked you guys to fucking explain it to me and you couldn't explain it to me because you kept saying the same things. You kept telling me they're just good. They're just old school. That doesn't make you the best. That just makes you the hipster's choice. And the IWC loves a good hipster's choice. But the truth is, someone's going to have to put in front of my face video evidence that FTR is better than the Usos. They don't draw more heat than the Usos. They don't draw more cheers than the Usos. They don't work any better than the Usos. The Usos are doing all of the same things you guys tell me. They make the baby faces look good. The Usos do the same thing, but they also make themselves look good while doing it. So I don't get it. I don't understand. Other than maybe here's the problem, and this isn't an Uso problem, this is a WWE problem. The tag team division in WWE right now is pretty much pointless because you have 2 sets of tag team belts on top of the Usos, and everybody else is just vying for a chance to lose to the Usos at this point. That's what it is. But that's not an Uso problem. That's the WWE's problem. The tag team division in the WWE, while it has some strong teams, while there is a foundation for a strong division, it is pointless right now. Someone's gonna have to explain to me what the purpose of Hit Row, the Viking Raiders, Legasmo Phantasmo, or whatever they call themselves. Someone's gonna have to explain to me, what are they fighting for? The opportunity to lose to the Usos? Because that's where we're at, right? Everybody's playing for second place, and those matches aren't exciting. Throwing those guys in the ring in some form or combination and Hit Row was much better this week. Like Triple H is paying attention to what I say, and he's starting to give them a little bit of character. These teams individually are starting to work. The Viking Raiders, that entrance with Valhalla and all, I like that. There is something there that is becoming a little bit of a spectacle that I like to see. I think that Santos Escobar or Escobar Santos, whatever his name is, I like him. I like what he's got going on. I think Zelina Vega adds to that group. So that group as a group is working. And Hit Row is starting to work, but what are they fighting for? What is the ultimate goal for these teams? I don't understand what we're supposed to invest into story-wise, as far as why are some random Vikings in the middle of basically like a street gang war between the Hit Row and the Gasmo? What is their fucking name? I can't remember their name. Like Phantasmo de Gasma. I'm gonna have to write it down so I can remember it. That shit's complicated for me. What else? I don't think let's jump forward a little bit. I don't think that Bray Wyatt's the person attacking LA Knight. I paused on the screen with the person in the mask. I don't think that's Bray Wyatt. I think there's going to be more to this story, and I think it may be interesting. There's a concept rolling around in my head right now where is Bray Wyatt going to systematically take out people and possibly have those people join him? Because I don't love the idea. LA Knight is good. I enjoy seeing LA Knight on TV, and I'm hoping he's not a sacrificial lamb for Bray Wyatt. Because I do, and maybe he can survive something like that. It's not that big of a deal, but LA Knight is good. He's the right person to kind of sell this story. But I think there's more to this Bray Wyatt thing. I just think it's taking way too fucking long at this point. Like I'm to the point. Look, this was the perfect time to sell us on this Bray Wyatt thing and make Bray Wyatt a star. You have literally nothing else going on. There's literally nothing else going on SmackDown that has any fucking meaning. And so this was your point, and this is your opportunity to really get Bray Wyatt over and start selling us. And instead, you just drip feeding us 30 seconds of story, and it's redundant at this point because it's literally just LA Knight walking around the back and Bray Wyatt is attacking him, and we don't know why, and we're not being told why, and we know that there's like an existential crisis going on with Bray Wyatt, but like at some point in time, this has to pay off. Like at some point in time, like Bray Wyatt was blaming us for it, like being the end of the world in his QR codes, and now he's just picking on LA Knight. Like we're gonna have to go a little fast. We're going to speed this up just a little bit, especially with 7 weeks remaining before the Royal Rumble. And now you got like Riddle out, and you got a bunch of these guys who are out. We need some stars in WWE, and we need some actual meaningful stories that we can invest in from our hearts. And you're going to drip feed us this, until Royal Rumble? We'll finally get a match? I think they got to speed that up. 3 tag team matches to start the show is not the formula. That's not a winning formula, Triple H. You can't start with 3 tag team matches. What that means to me is you're out of ideas. You don't know what you're doing. If you start the show with 3 tag team matches, you just don't. We got the Hit Row, the Viking Raiders. We got the New Day, Ricochet, Imperium. We got what was the first one? Was the Usos versus. That's 3 tag team matches to start the show off. That's a lot going on, and tag team matches tend to come with a lack of story, and that's what's kind of going on here, right? It's obvious you're feeding Ricochet to Gunther again. Don't know why. I guess Ricochet's just liked as a babyface, and he gives Gunther that a little bit of more heel mentality. But like, why are we forgetting that Gunther kicked the soul out of Ricochet just a couple months ago? So I don't think Ricochet's done anything to prove to me that he's ready to take that challenge on. I thought it was cool having New Day come out and kind of take Ricochet's back. That made sense. That's a good match on paper, but with no story elements, it doesn't make sense to have New Day with Ricochet. It's like, hey, everybody's friends. And really, it was just, I think, a cheap way for them to plug that they were going to be at NXT Deadline, which, newsflash, if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, New Day are the NXT Tag Team Champions. That's awesome. I love that. I love that idea. I love this idea of rotating in and out main roster guys into NXT. It gives me, like, I might tune back into NXT now. If the New Day are going to be on NXT and it gives the New Day an opportunity to do New Day things, you get a lot more creative freedom inside of NXT. I'm going to tune in and watch that. There's even the rumor going around that like the Bloodline could possibly show up in the next 7 weeks, or not the next 7 weeks. I think it was before WrestleMania at some point on an episode of NXT, which would be fun to watch out for. I've even read reports that possibly Sami Zayn and Solo Sikoa could win the NXT tag team titles, giving all of the Bloodline gold. I like this. I like phasing. When the more they phase NXT into the main roster and rotate in stars, the more I watch and the more I start to like NXT roster people. Because when it's just strictly NXT, I don't have a real reason to watch on a weekly basis. I can read about it and I can kind of watch what I want. But if you start feeding in people I like to that show, I'm going to pay a lot more attention. Triple H using, you can see he's got a little bit of this Attitude Era style booking going on where he's using a through line through these episodes, whether it's like a JBL poker game or Kurt Angle's birthday. That works all and well, except when it doesn't fucking pay off at the end. And that's twice that I feel like these backstage segments that had so much potential fall flat at some point in the show. Be it like the JBL thing turning into a tag team match for Corbin and AJ Styles and his boys, the OC. That didn't, like, there was so much more you could have done there, or between Dominic Mysterio and Tozawa. Like, I feel like Triple H is so close to getting this right. He just is not pulling it all together. He's got a formula and he's sticking to it, and he just needs to tweak these things a little bit. But this like Kurt Angle's birthday party was a fun through line through the episode until we got to the end of the episode, and I was like, what the fuck was that? That was the worst possible ending of SmackDown that I've seen in a long time. We know that we're getting John Cena on SmackDown before the year ends. That is because I think this is the first year that John Cena hasn't wrestled on WWE TV. So he'll come in and get some kind of cheap match probably, so that they can say he's wrestled every year for the last like 17 years or something like that. So that's not that big of news. Then we got a Karrion Kross segment, and I've been told about Karrion Kross for a long time by my boy Andrew. He's a big Karrion Kross guy, and I've never kind of jumped on board, but I'm starting to see it. There's something special about Karrion Kross, and I'm hoping Triple H isn't missing that. When he speaks, I listen. I think the whole package deal between Karrion Kross and Scarlett, I'm focused. And it's not just because she's attractive, and it's not just because he's a big, scary dude. Like, they just, as a package, they work. They get my attention. I fast forward a lot through wrestling lately on things that I just go, I expect, I know it's going to happen. But when he pops up on TV, I like the tarot card thing and calling out Rey Mysterio. There's a semblance of a story being written there, but let's see how long Triple H commits to this and really allows Karrion Kross to commit to building a character, because there is something there for Karrion Kross, and it might take a little bit of time to develop. Now, unlike Bray Wyatt, this is actually developing. When he comes out and he sits down with Rey Mysterio and he basically tells us that, like, in the animal kingdom, you got to put down the old horse, right? The old horse doesn't, Rey Mysterio, you don't have anything, you have no reason to be here anymore. We're going to put you down. If this is another opportunity to get Rey Mysterio over, just fucking get rid of me, because I don't want anything to do with that. But if this is an opportunity to really let Karrion Kross start developing his character, then I'm all about this. There's something special there, and it's starting to click with me. I'm starting to see it. I did enjoy the Tegan Nox intro video that we got on SmackDown that kind of explained a little bit. I think that those need to go even deeper. I think Triple H, if he's going to be bringing back all these NXT superstars, he needs to give us 2 minutes. And I think a cool thing they could do here, and a missed opportunity, is showing that 2-minute snippet or 30 seconds or whatever it is, and then leading that and feeding that to something on social media or something on Peacock and go, hey, by the way, there's a 20-minute documentary on Peacock on why you should like Tegan Nox. And I would go from SmackDown to probably watch that documentary so that I could learn more. So I think there's an opportunity. I like the idea. Like I said, Triple H is starting to get little pieces that he's just got to tweak to get right. But I liked the idea that it explained who Tegan Nox was and why her and Liv Morgan have a relationship, instead of just going, hey, you two, go out there for a tag team match. I liked it. I liked the idea that we got a little bit of backstory, just enough to sell us on who they are and why they're out there. Speaking of tag teams and people throwing together, Ronda and Shayna Way better tag team than they are individuals. Why is this not the focus of Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler? Take the SmackDown title off of Ronda. She doesn't need it. There's no reason it's on her shoulder. They are tag team perfection. They are perfect. They are the perfect heel tag team for the WWE women's division. So let's focus there. Like you're on to something. You stumbled upon a great. They work together. They talk to each other well. They have way more personality when they're interacting with each other than they do when they point and turn to a camera and talk to a camera. They just don't have that it. But when they talk to each other, they make good bullies. And so I think like going into WrestleMania, I know the idea was Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey. Scrap that. Fucking throw that to the side. We don't need that match. What we need is going to be Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler versus whatever tag team you want for the women's tag team championships. And give them a long, nice, fun run where they beat everybody up as the tag team champions. I think that is what Ronda Rousey was meant to do inside of WWE, was team up with her friend Shayna Baszler and have a long run as tag team championships. Way more entertaining. But this 8 weeks continues. It's now 7 weeks, right? It was the 9 week. I called it the dreaded 9 week gap between War Games and Royal Rumble, and we are feeling the effects. We're about 2.5, 3 weeks into this thing, and I can feel it. I can feel myself losing interest. I can feel myself turning on the TV and going, this is a little bit of a chore because I don't know what I'm supposed to be excited for. Like I still am excited for the bloodline, but I know what's going to happen. And then after that, okay, Ricochet and Gunther again. I can't get behind that. Triple H isn't giving me things to invest in. And the things I want to invest in, like Bray Wyatt, he's going, I'm going to bleed this for 9 weeks. We lost Riddle. We're going to talk about it in a minute. We lost Shotzi. People are going down. The stories are like, it's a mess. If you just put it on paper right now, there are no solid stories to invest into on SmackDown or Raw besides anything that has to do with the bloodline. Like that was a terrible, I talked about it, but that was a terrible finish to SmackDown. That was, and I get like you're trying to get Gable Steveson, so I guess, introduce him to the crowd, even though we all kind of know who he is. And we bring him out with Kurt Angle, and the Kurt Angle stuff was fun, but that's not how you end the show. With a basically regurgitated segment from 2011 or 2001, a milk truck segment. And so the screen ends, and the people in the ring when SmackDown goes off air are Gable, Otis, Steveson, and Kurt Angle. That's who you're in. That's who you're going. You're fade to black with those people covered in milk. I don't like, that's a cool segment for the middle of the show, but I'm not ending SmackDown like that. That was a poor main event. Triple H's track record to me right now, if we're looking at the Triple H formula to professional wrestling in WWE right now, his formula is start the show strong. I don't give a shit what ends the show. And that looks to be right now the Triple H formula. Let's talk about a few current events. There is a report going around that at WrestleMania 39, Brock Lesnar's opponent has been penciled in, and Brock Lesnar will be fighting Gunther. Interesting. Not where I saw that going. I thought there are better possibilities for each guy, but I'm not against this match because this does feel like a dream matchup, right? I'm not going to complain if we get Gunther versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 39 because it will probably end up being my match of the night. Like if Sheamus versus Gunther was any indication, Brock Lesnar versus Gunther is probably right on that same level, if not better. But I do think that there are better matches that I kind of had in my head moving towards WrestleMania. For one, I think I saw Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley Part 3 because they've kind of ingrained that into us at this point. It really feels like Bobby is on a collision course back to Brock Lesnar, and it feels like the natural finishing point for that is at WrestleMania 39. And then I felt like Gunther was better suited for someone like Drew McIntyre. I thought Drew, because I don't know what do you do with Drew? He comes back off of injury in the next couple weeks. where everything's starting to kind of pan out and people are taking shape and we're starting to see a little bit of a vision and hear reports of what Triple H is trying to do. And every time I hear this vision, I don't hear anything about Drew McIntyre. And I thought that Drew McIntyre versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship was a solid, big time, big feel mid-card match. It's a match that feels like a main event. Could main event any other show, but at WrestleMania, it fills in the card well. But if you are to believe these reports that Lesnar versus Gunther is what we're getting at WrestleMania 39, then where does that leave someone like Bobby Lashley? Is he sticking around with Seth Rollins in theory, or is that going to play out all the way? Where does that leave Drew McIntyre? Time will tell, but I don't know. This isn't the way I would book it, but I'm not going to hate on it until I see it. There's a report that the Bullet Club wants Sasha Banks to join. So it's pretty much confirmed. If you're reading reports on the internet, it's a done deal. Sasha Banks is going to New Japan Pro Wrestle Fest Kingdom something 17. I don't follow New Japan Pro, so I don't know what it is. I just know that it's all over the news that she is going to Japan and she will wrestle in Japan. And if you believe the rumors, if you believe the Dave Meltzers and all these people, she's done with WWE. Contract ends in January apparently, and she's not coming back. Man, if that is true, which I'm going to tell you right now, I don't believe that's true. But if that is true, this will be the biggest mistake of Sasha Banks' career. Because what she will get, you're going to get a big moment in the sun. Her star will shine bright the week of this New Japan Pro thing, and then it will completely burn out if she goes to AEW or continues to wrestle in Japan. She will be a forgotten star in the professional wrestling world, especially with the mass casual fans. She'll be an IWC darling, especially all the ones that fucking hated her before. They will accept her because she went over to the dark side. But I think I don't believe this is what's going on, because when I read further and I go, well, Carl Anderson is scheduled to work the same event. So that means at some point in time, New Japan Pro Wrestling has made contact with Triple H because they have to work contractually some kind of deal to get Carl Anderson over there to defend that the title that he has from New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I believe, in my heart of hearts, I believe there is communication between WWE and Triple H. I believe Triple H is way more forgiving of opening that forbidden door and allowing wrestlers. I think Shinsuke's working a match somewhere or has worked. I know like it was a big deal for a second. So I don't think that it's beyond the realm of belief that Triple H would go, all right, Sasha, go have this big moment in the sun at New Japan Pro and then bring that energy back to WWE. And you can kind of run your mouth and say you were the first and then it's a big deal. So I more see it as like, this is Triple H's play to appease Sasha Banks, let her do some things that are very interesting. And then what it does is it kind of skyrockets her to the top and you bring her back in and she fits right back into the roster. So that's the way I see it. I don't have any inside information. I just don't believe that there's a situation where Triple H lets Sasha Banks walk out the door and doesn't back up a money truck for her. I just can't see that, and it's more even from a defensive state than an offensive state, right? Can WWE survive without Sasha Banks? 100%. But I think Triple H is tired of seeing people like William Regal, Paige, Samoa Joe. He's tired of seeing those people on AEW television, and I don't think that Triple H would like to turn on the AEW television and see Sasha Banks. So even from a defensive standpoint, he could back up a money truck, get her re-signed, give her some interesting storylines, let her do some outside things, get her some Hollywood gigs, get her some New Japan Pro, let her break the forbidden door, let her do all those kinds of things. And I think that would appease Sasha enough that she would be interesting. It's hard for me to believe that she just walks out the door, goes and does New Japan Pro Wrestling, then comes back as a free agent. I just don't think there's longevity in that for her. I really don't. So we talked a little bit about Shotzi earlier, but the SmackDown star Shotzi reveals that she has a hand injury, no timetable for a return. Here, this is one of those things. How real is the injury? They already kind of sold us on Raquel having an injury. Then we found out that was probably a storyline injury. So once again, is this just selling Ronda and Shayna, which I'm all for. I think that's a smart way to do it. The timetable for a hand injury like that is probably returning around Royal Rumble, which works for Shotzi. They didn't have Shotzi involved in any big plans moving forward, so a little time off's not going to hurt her. But I think WWE's, this is why I talk about, this is the good in Triple H's booking is blending the real with the work. In that, if we start believing that Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey injure a lot of people, it makes them feel dangerous, and it would make them feel like a tag team that is elevated. So I'm all for this kind of thing. I don't know if she's really hurt. Hopefully, speedy recovery. If it's story based, once again, bravo to Triple H. That I will give you your flowers on that. You're selling Ronda and Shayna well. And the last story of the day is there is a Fightful report that disputes WWE considering a rumored WrestleMania plan for Roman Reigns. So if you haven't followed this show or followed the news for the last couple of weeks, the consensus of reports going around was that Roman Reigns was going to work both nights of WrestleMania, which I said didn't make a lot of sense. I don't love the idea. At first, there was this idea that he would defend one title on Saturday night and then fight The Rock on Sunday night. I had said, while I still think that's stupid, if you flipped it around, it would be better and fight The Rock Saturday, and then he could lose a title on Sunday while not tarnishing the Rock match. I think at this point, you've made the bed that you've made. You've got to sleep in it. I think you have to go into you have invested so much into the bloodline at this point that you have to hitch a wagon to those horses and ride them into WrestleMania at this point. And I don't think that they can afford at this point in time any loss of title. In fact, like I said, with the NXT thing, I think they have to gain gold. I think they have to feel like wrestling royalty going into WrestleMania 39. So I believe Fightful here in that I don't think they're ever really, now it may have been kicked around. They may talk about it. I imagine that the war room in WWE, the creative room, that they have to investigate every possible idea. So this idea may have come up, and they may even have to storyboard it out. So they go, well, this is how it would go. Does this make sense? But I don't think that there was any real inkling or indication or thought line that said, let's have Roman lose the title or let's have Roman fight Cody night run. Now, what does this do for the Royal Rumble? That's where it gets messy to me, is when you start putting these pieces together, what does that do? Does that mean The Rock has to win the Royal Rumble? It feels like it at this point. It feels like if this is it, if we're going forward, Rock, Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, it feels like The Rock has to win the Royal Rumble. Because what, Cody wins the Royal Rumble and then goes after the United States Championship? We tried that once with Theory, and people are not a fan. People are not buying that the United States title is that valuable that you waste a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity on that title. So it's going to be interesting. We're coming around the corner 7 weeks out. They're going to have to start straight. They set like a January 17th deadline to have WrestleMania kind of mapped out and planned out, especially in the main event picture. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do and what they kind of settle on at this point. I'll be looking out for more information on that. But that is all I have today for you guys. I will be back tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. new time. We're posting a little later. YouTube tells me that's when you guys watch the show. It gives me more time to prepare, more time to edit, more time to do the things that I want to do for this show. Make sure to hit the like button on this video. The like button what that button does is it just opens us up to other people. The more likes a video gets, the more it gets suggested to other people who watch the same content that you do. So just take a second, hit the like button. It takes 2 seconds, helps the channel grow tremendously. We're averaging 150 views on the daily show. We're averaging like 300 views on the Friday show. We're averaging another 300 to 400 listens on Spotify. So the show is growing. We've hit the top 50 wrestling podcast, I think at this point, 6 or 7 times, which is phenomenal. We've been doing this about a year. And we've gone top 50 like 5 or 6 times. We hang around the 60s all the time. And the 70s and 80s, we're always there. But we peak when you guys, something's interesting, we peak and we creep into that top 50. So just hit that like button for me, guys. make sure, hit the like. As always, I am Notorious Nerdy D, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.
Step in the ring, if you ready, let's go. Hey, casual wrestling community show. You already know, talking WWE. Keep it rolling and hosted by Notorious Nerdy D. Don't show that you gon' find. Tune in cause it's online. Hit 'em with a figure 4 leg lock, power driver or clothesline. We bringing that heat like for show, but you should